Hey everyone, I'm Alex. I was married to my husband Logan for 6 years before he cheated on me. Not with a coworker, not with a stranger, with my own mother. Even now, saying it out loud feels unreal. But if I'm being honest, the signs were always there. My mom never really acted like a mother. From as early as I can remember, she treated me less like her daughter and more like competition, especially when it came to attention, any kind of attention. Growing up, if my dad gave me even a little extra love, she'd get visibly irritated. She'd laugh it off, but there was always something behind it. I still remember her saying, more than once, "I'm the #1 girl in your dad's life." My dad would chuckle like it was harmless, but I could tell she meant it. As I got older, things became more uncomfortable. Whenever I brought friends home, she would suddenly change. Short dresses, louder voice, constant need to be noticed. And it worked. I'd catch my friends staring, and instead of being bothered, she seemed to enjoy it. I felt invisible in my own home. Eventually, I stopped bringing anyone over. Then came dating, and that's when things crossed a line I still struggle to process. She would flirt with my boyfriends, not in a subtle way either. She'd touch their arms, laugh too close, invade their space. Some of them were clearly uncomfortable, but she would just brush it off like it was a joke, like it was normal. It wasn't. It got so bad that even my dad couldn't ignore it anymore. Their fights became more frequent, louder, uglier, and eventually they divorced. A part of me always believed her behavior played a big role in that. After the divorce, I moved in with my dad, and for the first time in my life, I felt safe. My stepmom was everything my mom wasn't: calm, respectful, kind. I could finally live without constantly feeling like I had to compete for space, for attention, for dignity. I healed slowly. Then I met Logan. He felt like stability, like peace. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't dramatic, he was just there. Consistent, loving, dependable. We built something real. 2 years ago, we got married. My mom was invited. I kept my distance, made sure there were boundaries. She behaved surprisingly normal that day. No scenes, no drama. I thought maybe she had changed. I was wrong. About a month into our marriage, she started showing up at our house. At first, it felt random. Unexpected visits, no prior call. She'd just appear at the door like nothing was unusual. I didn't like it, but I didn't want to create drama either. And honestly, her behavior seemed different. She wasn't overly flirtatious like before. She didn't cross obvious lines. She was controlled. Almost too controlled. She would talk to Logan a lot, though. At the time, it didn't seem inappropriate. Just long conversations, casual jokes, a kind of familiarity that I told myself was harmless. She wasn't touching him the way she used to act with my past boyfriends, and maybe that's why I let my guard down. Looking back, I realize I confused subtle with safe. Sometimes I'd walk into the room, and they'd suddenly go quiet. Or I'd catch a look I couldn't quite explain, but I ignored it. I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. I had spent years building a life away from her chaos. I didn't want to think she could still reach in and destroy it. So I trusted. I trusted my husband. I trusted that whatever my mother was, he was different. 6 months into our marriage, that illusion shattered. One night, Logan came home acting distant. He barely spoke during dinner. His hands were shaking, and I could tell something was wrong. Then suddenly he broke down. I had never seen him cry like that. He kept saying, "I'm sorry. I didn't know how to tell you." My heart started racing. And then he said it. He told me he cheated on me, with my mom. In that moment, everything inside me went numb. It felt like my entire life rewrote itself in seconds. Every memory, every moment where I thought I was safe, it all turned into something else. I wasn't just betrayed. I was targeted. By the one person who had spent my entire life trying to outshine me, outdo me, replace me. And this time, she succeeded. I filed for divorce almost immediately. Logan didn't argue. He didn't beg. He didn't try to fix it. He just accepted it. And honestly, that hurt almost as much as the betrayal itself. The truth came out quickly. His friends cut him off. His family distanced themselves. No one could look at him the same way again. And my mom? She disappeared. As soon as people found out, she packed her things and moved to another state. No apology. No explanation. Just gone. Running away like she always did when things caught up to her. And just like that, I lost my husband. And I finally accepted something I had been avoiding my entire life. My mother was never really my mother. She was my first betrayal. After the divorce, I wish I could say I moved on quickly. I didn't. I broke in ways I didn't even know were possible. There were days I couldn't get out of bed. Nights where I replayed everything over and over again. Every moment my mom visited. Every look I ignored. Every time I told myself I was just overthinking. The betrayal didn't just hurt, it rewired how I saw trust. But I wasn't completely alone. My dad showed up for me in ways he never had before. He didn't try to fix anything. He didn't give empty advice. He just stayed. Sat with me during my worst days, listened when I needed to talk, and stayed silent when I didn't. And my stepmom, she became my anchor. She would check on me constantly, make sure I was eating, sleeping, living. There were days she'd just sit beside me, holding my hand like I was a child again. For the first time, I truly understood what a mother's love is supposed to feel like. Not competitive. Not selfish. Safe. Healing wasn't fast. It came in small, almost invisible steps. One day, I got out of bed without forcing myself. Another day, I went outside and didn't feel like the world was collapsing on me. Then I started doing yoga just to quiet my mind. Slowly, I began to feel like I existed again. The final divorce hearing was the last chapter one needed to close. When I saw Logan there, he looked nothing like the man I married. He looked exhausted. Broken. When it was his turn to speak, he couldn't hold it together. He broke down in front of everyone. He kept saying, "I messed everything up. I lost the best thing in my life." He apologized again and again. Not just for cheating, but for destroying something that was real. And then he asked for my forgiveness. Not to get me back, just to be forgiven. And surprisingly, hearing that helped me. Not because it changed anything, but because it gave me closure. For the first time, I didn't feel anger when I looked at him. I just felt done. After that day, I made a decision. I wasn't going to let that part of my life define me anymore. So I started over. I focused on myself, continued yoga, picked up small habits that made me feel human again. I even started going on dates, not seriously at first, just to remind myself that I could connect again. And then I did something I never thought I would do alone. I took a solo trip to Miami. It felt strange at first being by myself in a new place. But somewhere between the beaches, the quiet mornings, and the unfamiliar streets, I felt free. Like I had finally stepped out of the shadow of my past. For a while, things were peaceful. Until about a month ago. My cousin Mia called me out of nowhere. Her voice had that tone, the kind that tells you something's about to ruin your day. She told me she found my mom. Apparently, my mom had created a new Instagram account. New name, new life. And she wasn't hiding anymore. She was showing off. Mia sent me the pictures. At first, I didn't even recognize her. She looked happy, glowing, standing next to a man I had never seen before. Her new boyfriend. He looked decent, well-dressed, confident, the kind of man who seemed stable, maybe even wealthy. And then more pictures started appearing. One with his kids. She captioned it something like, "Bonus mom." I actually laughed when I saw that. The irony was almost unbelievable. Her? A mother figure? Then there were pictures at what looked like a beach house. Expensive views. Perfect lighting. She was clearly showing it off. Like she had won something. Like none of the past had ever happened. And then the one that made my stomach drop. Her engagement post. A ring on her finger. That same smile. That same glow. Like she had just walked into a perfect new life, untouched by everything she had done. That's when the anger hit. Not the loud kind. The quiet, heavy kind that sits in your chest and refuses to leave. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about him. Her fiancé. Did he know? Did he know who she really was? Did he know what she did to her own daughter? To my marriage? And the more I thought about it, the more it didn't sit right with me. I didn't want anything to do with her. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want a relationship. But I also couldn't ignore the truth. Because if I stayed silent, then I would be letting her do it again. Maybe not to me, but to someone else's life. So I made a decision. One I never thought I would make. I'm going to tell him the truth. Not for her. Not even for me. But because he deserves to know exactly who he's about to marry. After that night, I couldn't shake the feeling. It wasn't anger anymore. It was something heavier. The kind of feeling that sits quietly in your chest and refuses to leave because you know something isn't right. That man, her fiancé, he was smiling in those pictures like he had found something real. And all I could think was, he has no idea who she really is. So I decided to find him. I expected it to be difficult. It wasn't. My mom had never been careful. Not really. She always believed she could control the narrative, that people would only see what she wanted them to see. Maybe she thought I'd never reach out. Maybe she thought I was too broken to care. Or worse, maybe she thought I had forgiven her. Within a few hours, I had everything. His name was Richard Smith. He owned a construction company in Tennessee. His Facebook was open, almost like he had nothing to hide. And the more I scrolled, the more I realized just how different he was from her. He looked stable, grounded. There were pictures with his kids, holidays, birthdays, simple moments. The kind of life that feels real, not performed. Then I saw older photos. Him with his wife. And through the comments, I found out she had passed away years ago. Something about that stayed with me. You could see it in his eyes. He had loved her. Deeply. And suddenly, this wasn't just about me anymore. Because I knew one thing with absolute certainty. My mom had never told him about me. Not once. No daughter. No past. No truth. Just a clean, carefully crafted lie. And that made my decision for me. But I wasn't careless. If I messaged him directly, there was a chance my mom could see it first. And if she did, she'd twist everything before I even had a chance to speak. So I chose a different way and his son, Jacob. He looked close to my age. I kept the message simple. I told him who I was. And then I asked him, has she ever told you about me? I added one more line. I need to tell you something important about her. Then I waited. Not long. His reply came faster than I expected. At first, he sounded confused, then cautious. And then he said something that didn't surprise me at all. She doesn't have any kids. He went on. Her husband died 10 years ago. She's alone. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. That's who she is. She doesn't just lie. She rewrites reality. Instead of arguing, I sent him proof. Photos I had kept, even when I wanted to delete every memory of her. A childhood picture. One from my teenage years. And then, my wedding photo. The one where she stood there smiling, right beside the man she would later sleep with. After that, silence. Long enough to feel heavy. I imagined him staring at the screen, trying to make sense of it. Trying to decide if I was real or just some kind of mistake. Then finally, he replied, why would she lie about something like this? Why would a mother hide her own child? And then the real question, why are you telling me this? He sent me his number and asked me to call. So I did. That call, it wasn't easy. There's something about saying things out loud that makes them feel more real. Harder. I told him everything. Not just the betrayal, but the pattern. How my mom had always crossed boundaries. How she treated me like competition. How it destroyed my parents' marriage. And then, I told him the truth that changed everything. She slept with my husband. Her daughter's husband. There was no reaction at first. Just silence. The kind that tells you someone is trying to process something they never expected to hear. Jacob didn't interrupt me once. When I finished, he finally spoke. He said he had known her for almost 2 years. 2 years. And in all that time, he had never seen anything like what I described. But then his tone changed. If this is true, my dad can't marry her. Not angry. Not dramatic. Just certain. Still, he wasn't ready to completely condemn her. Not yet. He admitted he was already disturbed by the lies about me, about her past, about everything. But he needed confirmation. Real confirmation. Then he asked me something I had already expected. Can I have Logan's number? I didn't hesitate. I gave it to him. Because at this point, the truth wasn't mine to carry alone anymore. Before ending the call, he thanked me. Not politely, not casually, but like someone who understood that I had just handed him something that could change his entire family. After the call ended, everything went quiet again, and I just sat there, staring at my phone, because deep down, I knew what was coming. The truth had a way of finding its way back. And my mom, the woman who disappeared after destroying my life, was about to be dragged back into it, whether she liked it or not. After talking to Jacob, I waited. I thought my mom would call me, screaming, blaming, denying everything. But nothing. One day passed. Then two. Silence. It didn't make sense. Logan told me Jacob had called him, asked if everything I said was true, and Logan told him the truth. No excuses. So I knew they had confronted her, but still, no call. And for a moment I started thinking, what if she did it again? What if she twisted everything and made me look like the liar? She's done it before. More than once. So yeah, I thought she got away with it. Again. But I was wrong. I was just being impatient. Because 3 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. My heart dropped. I thought it was her. Finally. But it wasn't. It was him. Her fiancé. Richard. His voice was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that tells you something serious is coming. He didn't waste time. He asked me to tell him everything again. From the beginning. So I did. Everything. My childhood. My parents' divorce. The betrayal. All of it. He didn't interrupt. Not once. When I finished, there was a pause. Then he asked me something I didn't expect. If all of this is true, would you be willing to say it publicly? I froze. And then he explained. Next week, they were having their engagement party. Family. Friends. Everyone would be there. And then he said it. I want you to come. My grip tightened on my phone. He told me not to worry about anything. He would handle it. Make sure I was okay. I wouldn't be alone. I could even bring someone with me. I just had to show up. Then his tone changed. Stronger. If what you're saying is true, she's not someone I can build a life with. And she doesn't deserve to walk into one built on lies. He wanted the truth out. In front of everyone. And he was willing to help me do it. Expose her. Completely. After the call ended, I just sat there. Because suddenly, everything felt real again. All the memories. All the anger. All the pain I thought I had buried. And for a moment, I wanted it. I wanted to stand there. And finally show everyone who she really is. But this wasn't a small decision. This would change everything. So I told him I needed time, that I'd let him know. And he understood. But one thing was clear now. This isn't over. Not even close. And for the first time, I have the chance to take control of the story. After I hung up Richard's call, there was only one person I could go to. My dad. So I told him everything. From the call to the invitation to the plan. He didn't interrupt. He just listened. Quiet. Focused. Calm. When I finished, he looked at me and asked one question. Do you really want to do this? Not angrily. Not judging. Just honestly. Then he said something that stayed with me. Exposing her might be right, but not if it costs you your peace. I didn't answer right away. Because the truth was, a part of me didn't want to go. I had already moved on. I had already started healing. But another part of me, the part that remembered everything, what she did, how she treated me, how she destroyed my life and walked away like nothing happened, that part wanted this. Badly. So I told him the truth. I didn't want to go before, but now I do. He looked at me for a moment, then nodded. If you think you can handle it, then you should do it. And then he added, I'm coming with you. Hearing that, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. I wasn't going to face this alone. After that, I called Richard. I told him, I'm coming. I also told him my dad would be with me. And I made one thing clear. I didn't need special arrangements, that I just needed to know where to be and what time. I would handle the rest. There was a short pause. Then I asked him one more question. If I don't show up, will you still expose her? He didn't hesitate. Absolutely. His voice was firm. Certain. I have 2 daughters, he said. And I would never let someone walk away after doing something like that to their own child. Then he added, and I'm not okay with the fact that she lied to me about everything. That was all I needed to hear. When the call ended, everything felt set. There was no more doubt. No more hesitation. Now, it was just about waiting. Waiting for the day everything would finally come out. The day finally came. The engagement party. My dad and I arrived together. The place was beautiful, elegant, full of people celebrating her, like she deserved it. But this time, I wasn't there to stay quiet. As soon as we entered, Jacob spotted us. He walked up quickly, greeted us, and kept his voice low. Come with me. He led us to a side area, just out of view. Stay here for now, he said. She can't see you yet. I nodded, and then we waited. A few minutes later, I heard Richard's voice. He was addressing everyone. Calm, confident. He thanked people for coming, talked about the future. And then he said something that made the entire room go quiet. I have a surprise for her. My heart started beating faster. This was it. He called her name. And then he called me. I stepped out. And the moment she saw me, everything changed. Her smile dropped. Her face went pale. For the first time, she looked scared. I walked toward her slowly. Calm. Controlled. Hi, Mom. The room shifted instantly. People started whispering. Her friends looked confused. One of them asked, Who is she? I looked straight at my mom. You should answer that. She froze, then forced a smile. This isn't the place, she said quietly. We can talk later. She turned to Richard. I can explain, just not here. But it was too late. Everyone already knew something was wrong. You could feel it. The tension. The curiosity. That's when Richard stepped forward and took control. He looked at her. Go ahead, he said. Introduce her. Silence. She didn't say a word, not even a name. So after a few seconds, he did it himself. He turned to the room. The woman you all think you know, he paused, is not who she says she is. Then he looked at me and said it clearly. This is her daughter. The reaction was instant. Shock. Confusion. Whispering. My mom tried to interrupt. Richard, stop. But he didn't. He told them everything. Not dramatically. Just directly. How she hid her daughter. How she lied about her past. And then, what she did. The room went silent. Completely silent. She tried to deny it. Tried to twist it. But this time, it didn't work. Not for long. The pressure. The stares. The truth already out there. She broke. She started crying. Shaking. And then, she admitted it. Said she hid everything because she was scared people would judge her. For a second, no one spoke. Then one of her friends laughed. Actually laughed. After what you did, of course people are going to judge you. That was it. She broke down completely. Crying harder. Apologizing. Saying she's changed. That she just wants another chance. But Richard, he just looked at her. And laughed. Not loudly. Just disbelief. You're not a changed person, he said. You're just saying that because you got caught. She tried to interrupt. But he didn't stop. If you were really sorry, you would have apologized to her a long time ago. If you had changed, you would have told me the truth. Not hidden it. Not lied. Then he said the only thing that mattered. I'm done. Right there. In front of everyone. She tried everything after that. Tears. Excuses. Even trying to play the victim. But when nothing worked, she turned on me. Her face changed completely. Angry. Cold. You ruined my life, she screamed. Ever since you were born, you've done nothing but ruin things for me. I hate you. The room went quiet again. All eyes on me. And, for the first time, I didn't feel small. I looked at her. Calm. You ruined your own life. I said. I just stopped protecting your lies. She stared at me, speechless, then turned and walked out, furious. But before she could leave, Richard stopped her. The ring. She froze. For a second, she refused. But he didn't move, didn't back down. And eventually, she took it off, handed it back, and walked out. Alone. Just like that. It was over. The party ended. People started leaving. But this time, they weren't celebrating her. They were talking about the truth. After everything settled, Richard came up to me. So did his kids. They thanked me. Genuinely. Jacob looked at me and said, "You saved my dad." And for the first time, that moment felt bigger than just me. We talked for a while. Me, my dad, Richard, his daughters, Jacob. No tension. No lies. Just honesty. And then, we left. The drive home was quiet, but it felt different. Lighter. After a while, my dad spoke. "I was worried about you," he said. "I didn't know how this would affect you." He paused, then smiled a little. "But I'm proud of you. Really proud." I looked out the window, and for the first time in years, I felt it. Relief. Like everything that had been weighing on me was finally gone. After that night, everything went quiet. Not just around me, inside me. For the first time in years, there was no chaos left to chase. No truth left to prove. It was just silence. And strangely, it didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful. The next few days were slow, normal, and that felt unfamiliar. No calls, no messages, no drama. My mom didn't try to reach out. Not once. And this time, I didn't expect her to, because for the first time, she had nothing left to hide behind. People did reach out, though. Some from the party. Some who had heard about it later. Most of them weren't asking questions. They were apologizing. For believing her. For not seeing it earlier. I didn't hold anything against them. Because I knew how convincing she could be. I had lived with it my entire life. A few days later, Jacob texted me. He told me his dad was doing okay. Still processing everything but sure about his decision. They had cut her off completely. No contact. No second chances. And honestly, that gave me a kind of closure I didn't expect. Not because she lost something, but because this time, she couldn't rewrite the ending. Logan never reached out again. And I didn't need him to. That chapter had already closed. Completely. One evening, I was sitting with my dad and stepmom. Just the three of us. Nothing special. No big conversation. Just quiet. Comfortable quiet. And in that moment, I realized something. This is what I had been missing my whole life. Not revenge. Not validation. Just peace. My stepmom looked at me and smiled. "You seem lighter," she said. And she was right. I did. Because I wasn't carrying it anymore. Not the anger. Not the hurt. Not even the need to prove anything. For years, I thought closure meant confronting her. Exposing her. Making her face what she did. And maybe part of it was. But that's not what healed me. What healed me was something much simpler. I stopped waiting for her to become the mother I deserved. I stopped hoping she would change. I stopped needing anything from her at all. And once I let that go, everything else followed. A few weeks later, I went back to my routine. Yoga in the mornings. Long walks. Coffee by myself without overthinking every little thing. I started going out again. Laughing again. Living again. One day, I caught myself smiling at something small. Something random. And it hit me. I wasn't pretending anymore. I was actually okay. I don't know where she is now. And honestly, I don't care. Not out of anger. Not out of hate. Just indifference. Because at the end of it all, she didn't take everything from me. She didn't ruin me. She didn't win. I'm still here. Still standing. Still building a life that has nothing to do with her. And for the first time in my life, I'm not looking over my shoulder. I'm not competing. I'm not trying to be seen. I'm just living. Sometimes, the real closure isn't exposing the person who hurt you. It's realizing you don't need them anymore.